Hello, I'm John Binnie, and welcome to my video today where we're going to be talking about some of the subjects regarding psychic attacks, negative entity attachments, and demonic influences, and how to spot some of these red flags that exist within you. And I'll also touch briefly on the concept of hell and some of these concepts themselves about attacks and the different entities capable of doing these. So first of all, if you don't know me, I'm John Binnie, as it says on my hoodie, and I am a professional, full-time psychic spiritual mentor. And since my awakening, my last big awakening in 2017, I began meditating each day and talking to my spirit guides. In the following years, I started doing client sessions, a couple of sessions a week, and really learning on the job how best to help people clear, especially the first work I did was very focused on clearing what I call dark energy, so negative energy that doesn't serve our highest good, removing energetic attachments, and even progressing to stopping and blocking and removing demonic attachments, or you may know it as exorcisms. And in this journey, it's been very expansive, and I left my corporate job. I worked at Amazon as a senior software manager up until May 30th last year, so in 2024. And it's not that far off a year now that I've been doing this work full time. And I'm just so blessed and so grateful for all of your incredible bookings, everyone that's joined my training courses, the 400 plus of you now that have been through my free spirit guide meditations. And I just wanted to thank you and also thank you for your lovely feedback and that gratitude, love, energy that you shared about my recent videos regarding how to protect yourself against psychic attacks. And they are guided meditations intended exactly to do that. And I'd also share that this video is not for the faint-hearted. I recommend it's only watched by people over the age of 18. And that my purpose is to help educate and help you spot some of the warning signs, and also to help inform you about how best to make, form your own practices and your own judgments and your own beliefs about these topics. So this is really an intention to help you. If you feel scared about any of these subjects, or you find it triggering, then I definitely suggest that you stop watching the video and continue to discover the rest of the universe as it feels right for you. Okay, so I have, I'm using my phone to record this video, and just on the other side of the screen, I have my some of my training course materials. So to introduce that briefly, I currently offer 3 courses: the Higher Self Foundational Training, Higher Self Intermediate Training, and in the summer I'll be running the first run of the Higher Self Advanced Training. Brilliant, right? Foundational, Intermediate, and Advanced. And Foundational is all about you as an individual, like clearing your energy, raising your vibrations, manifestation, quantum energy healing, protection, the basics of negative entity removal, astral travel, past lives, and speaking light language, and a little bit of planetary grid work as well. So that's all about you, and it's about building the foundations that allow you to lead a happy, healthy life and to help you continue to progress on your ascension journey. So to explain a little bit about the Higher Self Intermediate Training, this is a next level up, and it's a huge step up. So it goes into a lot more detail, and it's all about training practitioners. And I recently finished the second run of this training course, and you'll see videos coming up more and more, and collaborations with some of my students in that training, and 2 of which you may know quite well. So there's Viviane Heller. Hello, Viviane, if you're watching. and we're live twice a week on YouTube. And then there's also the amazing Chloe Rose, and so you can see some of our collaborations together. And in fact, in this upcoming live stream tomorrow, Chloe's joining us. So they're happy with me sharing that they've been students on these two courses, and they're both keen to be practicing this work. You can also see Chloe and Viviane in their upcoming psychic practice sessions, the quantum psychic practice sessions that are available on the events page on my website. So yeah, we had a really fun week. This is some of the subjects from one of our higher self intermediate training weeks, and we will be sharing more about that on an upcoming podcast that we're recording next month in April. So look out for that. And in that video, we're going to go into a lot more detail about hell and our experiences of hell. So we will we'll go into all that in more detail. But if I introduce it briefly, I feel like the concept of hell is helpful for us all to reflect on. So let me see what I wrote about it, because I have my training notes here. I've said, so this is my definition of hell, the void, the infinite void in other realms. And I say that I define hell as layers of dimensions below the current frequency of the present moment. I often visualize the surface of the planet Earth as level 0. And then when I do soul retrievals or other client work, I go beneath level 0 and I go down through many different levels of hell. And the lowest that I've been to and that I'm aware of is level -99. And unlike high vibrations, there are no limit for which there's no limits. Hell does have a limit. It goes down to -99. And this, I compare this to, for example, temperature in the universe, which we believe only goes down to -272 degrees Celsius or 0 degrees Kelvin. And it's basically where atoms like stop vibrating. It's like where there's no vibration. And then each of these levels of hell have their own frequency. They're on a scale of -99 to 0, so from the bottom -99 up to 0. And then what happens? I'm just asking a series of questions in my notes. Okay, so the way I see it is that I'll often access hell by going through a series of portals with my client, and then we'll go and retrieve like part of their, like a soul fragment. And I sometimes also have to do it. I won't share the exact details, but really just for safety of everyone involved. But sometimes I will also access hell when I have to do some work for negative entity removals or more extreme demonic cases of exorcisms. And to give you some context, I've been doing this work for what must be close to 5 years. And I started out in the kind of darker realms. And that was like a big part of that for me was really learning how to be confident and to not allow the fear to overcome you, like to be scared, but to be brave and do it, learn how to do it safely. There are significant risks in any of this work, and by no means do I intend to glamorize it in any way. I can imagine it's easy to get lots of, easier to get lots of, almost like fear mongering, like to incite fear within people. And this is not my intention at all. This is just to help bring awareness to both hell and then some of the red flags about negative entities and demonic entities. And so let's move on to that. So let's talk about the first warning sign. So how would you know if you were being, psychically attacked or you had a negative entity attached to you, or some sort of demonic entity was trying to attach to you or influence you. So the first thing to look out for is the eyes. And I'd like to thank my dear friend that pointed this out to me, because I suffered from this in 2023, in the summer of 2023. And my eyes got so dark, and I could look in the mirror in a sunny day, because it was actually the summer that it happened. And I remember the light could quite easily like get through my eyes. But a lot of the time when you were looking at me, when you were looking directly at me, you would see, I looked in mirrors and in videos, my eyes were always so dark, like these just really like jet black eyes. And it's something that's also portrayed a lot in films, and that's helpful to have an awareness of. The way I would describe it is that and if you haven't seen it or you haven't heard of it, there is a video called My Deepest Darkest Shadow Work. So you could just search on YouTube for my John Binnie Deepest Darkest Shadow Work, and you'll find the video that explains a lot more about that in a lot more detail and that whole journey. Needless to say, it was one of the most powerful experiences of my life, and I learned just a huge amount. So I'm grateful for that, I guess, that tough lesson, extremely tough lesson. In the training, I describe, as a kind of previews to what I explain a bit about the darker eyes, is that our souls are visible through our eyes, and your soul is actually a really beautiful, bright being. Your soul is just incredible. When I do work in meditations and client sessions, when I visit people's souls, including mine, they're beautiful. I often see them as like this big, bright, beautiful kind of plasma-like, angelic-like beings, almost like a kind of a cloud that's made of plasma and is kind of moving around, which is really funny because when you look at a lot of UFOs up close, that's what a lot of them look like, which is fascinating, right? And so when a soul is compromised, when it's being influenced by something, then that darkens, or at least the soul's connection down into the body, like down through the crown or in through the heart, is beginning to like cloud and become darkened. And this is because there's like more aspects of you being interfered with by other negative forces. And so that's a thing to look for, right? Look at it each day in yourself. So if you do work like me, if you're doing like tarot readings, healings, clearings for people, Reiki, if you may even be like a practitioner where you're doing hands-on work like I do as well, like massage, reflexology, acupuncture, just a whole load of things. Look out for your eyes and the darkness in your eyes. Use that as a helpful gauge to see how you're feeling. Perhaps even take really up close photos. That works as well. You can see it. And so where you have these red flags, definitely have like a regular practice. For all these red flags, you need a regular practice to keep checking on yourself. And I would say, before we go into the others, I would say that what's important also is to know that when you do work like me, you're at much higher risk because I'm exposing it to myself frequently, right? If not almost daily, to what clients are experiencing, whether they're conscious of it or not, whether I find out about it prior to a client session or not. And so I'm always like putting checks in place and, the language on my services, and I have a separate service for negative entity removal. and exorcisms and psychic attacks. Like that's one service. And then my other main service is I call it quantum psychic healing. And it's just a whole broad range of stuff. From past, parallel, present, and future lives to chakra scanning, healing, clearing, like it's a whole load of things. But where there's like an attack from a specific attack from another being, or we have to go to hell or the void to return, or even a past life to return a soul fragment, that's the negative entity removal service that I offer. And you can imagine that it takes a lot more energy. One of the reasons that it's a separate service and it's a much higher price is because it takes me hours to prepare for such a session, and then sometimes days. And I don't want to give too much power to the recovery process or the effect that it has on me, including the words I use, but know that it's hours to days. I've recently updated my service to explain this. And the effect, after one of these sessions on me is quite profound. And often I have to clear my calendar or arrange them for specific times where I have that recovery time. And I also tell my membership group when I'm going through some of these more intense client work sessions, because, well, first of all, it lifts that feeling out of shame. If something's attacking me, it's like, oh, I'm John Binnie, like I should be able to protect myself. Like we're all human, right? And nothing is perfect. And so I feel like bringing awareness is helpful. And it also gives people an opportunity to, move their sessions or just ask if maybe they want to offer me some help, or maybe I want to ask for help. It helps kind of open the door to that. So these are really important aspects. It's funny, I'm doing this with my hands. So let's talk about some other red flags. Mental or physical health issues. So just, or metaphysical as well. So health issues just in general. And this is where, you could be suffering from heightened anxiety or stress. I would describe like a feeling of like a very low vibration, even when like curiously my life seems happy. I don't know if you can tell right now, I actually feel pretty happy. I've had 2 days of rest and this is my third day of rest, including some time off running and exercising. And I feel quite relaxed and excited. So, for example, if my anxiety was high right now, I'd be like, oh, like what's going on? Why? That's a more extreme behavior of me. Why am I behaving like that? And this could be because you're being, and I think I discussed this in a couple of my psychic attack related videos yesterday, and they were about, these like feeling into whether something's your own energy or not. And you can just ask your heart, is this my energy? Is this my energy? And also having a regular meditation clearing practice. So making sure that I always do a regular clearing. I recommend it at least once a week, clearing your chakras, clearing your body, clearing your energy body, grounding. With the work I do, it has to be far more frequently. And I'm not going to say on video the exact days or hours and times I do it, because I don't want to become as like totally predictable to those energies and entities that oppose me. But know that I kind of flex, and I'm always trying to like be unpredictable to myself so that I can have a clearing routine, and including the methods that I use for clearing quite wide and varied. So you see some of those in the videos that I do, and also the trainings I do. I show most of them in my training sessions as well. But I'd encourage you to feel into what that means for you. The next one is about strange things happening to your friends, family, pets, home, car, and more. So this is a red flag where I would describe it as, it's like that feeling you see in horror movies where the music's playing and it's like getting quite dramatic, and maybe something just seems quite normal, like there's just a couple of people chatting, maybe they're stood out in the street and they're chatting about their day or whatever, but the music is like, and there's a tension, and then suddenly something really strange happens, like there's a car accident, or a bit of plane falls off and it lands on the street or whatever, like these really unexpected, quite dark things that can happen. And there's like almost like this undercurrent and a feeling that this might happen. And this is another red flag, right? Because often when we're protected, then those around us can become more vulnerable. It includes our home, our pets, our loved ones, our vehicles, like whatever. And one analogy to think about is certainly in the UK, our cars are much harder to steal because they have immobilizers and various computers and trackers and all these things. So what burglars realized is that it's much easier to break into the house, steal the car keys, and then drive the car away. And so it's like they're just looking for the easiest entry point. And so if you're really strongly protected, then give some consideration to your family, pets, friends, home, vehicles, etc. So I have had experiences of that. I've had experiences of witnessing, like seeing this with my third eye, witnessing really quite dark entities. Sometimes in the past, they were like almost like patrolling outside of my boundary, outside of the boundary that I created around my home. And there was one, and that was related to one particular client, and it was like, they were trying to scare me and to put me off working for that client. Other things, much harder to directly attribute, if you've got a problem with your vehicle breaking down, or there's some sort of strange fault that happens in your house. These things, they're often just designed to distract you, to weaken you, and to often make you think, because they're unexplainable, it's often to lead you to thinking that you're being attacked. That's part of the intention as well. So yeah, I would recommend including, your home, absolutely your home in a regular practice. So clearing your home, protecting your home. And you can watch my video yesterday all about that, where we create protection for ourselves, and then all about our homes. It's more complex with other beings, so pets and family. Ideally, you would get their permission and you'd say, would it be okay if either I created protection for you, or that you joined me in this meditation practice and we create it together? The latter would be perfect. But often our friends and family, especially at this time, and pets have quite, they're entitled to have their free will choices, their own unique opinions, their own truths about reality. And so that can be quite hard to get agreement on. I don't feel it's a good idea to just try and create protection around people without their consent, because who are you to decide what, to judge, who are you to judge what is right for someone and what is not right for someone? We all have to discern that ourselves. And so, yeah, I'd encourage you to give that some thought. And, you can have some conversations. So for example, I've meditated with my son and my daughter before, and, sometimes I've had conversations where I'd say, look, the work I do, it is, sometimes it's energetically risky. Are you comfortable? Like, would you give me consent to help protect you? And that, it's not that I lightly won't be doing it absolutely all the time, but there's periods, especially when I'm working with a client through multiple sessions, that I'd like to make sure that you and our home are safe. And lightly, with a relatively kind of skin deep explanation about what's going on, but it's still absolutely the truth, just trying to meet someone where they're at. I feel like you've got a chance, at least, of them saying yes. So yeah, that's definitely a thing to look out for. And then we also, so in the last podcast I did with Chloe and Viviani, we also spoke about shadow work. Like, the other vulnerabilities of you are your own weaknesses, your own shadows. So I would say these are all connected, right? But I often talk about lack and fear, but I don't always talk about but I don't always talk about some of the symptoms first, because they can be a real vulnerability as well. So one is, one that I'm often subject to is like tiring me out. So the idea is, if you're, the psychic attack against me would be to just make sure that, everything that happens in a day for me is that they try and maximize the amount of energy I have to put into it. And so this includes, just from the most smallest annoying things, right? Like, oh, my website's not working, or, oh, I made a website change and it's not working, or I can't get logged into this system, or I'm getting emails from people randomly all about the same thing, and yet nothing's changed. I've not changed anything on my services. And they're asking lots of queries. Like, these are patterns that start to create more work. And just to be clear, I really enjoy receiving your emails about if you ever have any issues with my website, etc. Because I genuinely love improving it. And it's a big learning curve for me to continue to improve it. I was doing it just before we came on today. And then also, they'll just be, you could be subject to things like I am sometimes, where, maybe the client sessions themselves are draining, or you're feeling tired, you're not sleeping well, like anything to try and drain you, because I feel that's a common kind of attack pattern, because that feeling of being drained, it makes you more likely to feel trapped and blocked, causes energy blocks within you. It causes you to often rely more on your addictions, your shadows. For me, it would, like, when I'm exhausted, I'm more likely to eat less healthily. And these are all aspects to consider, right? Just to, at very least, be gentle with yourself and observe what's going on, what's happening. And then I'd also say that, feeling tired, that's maybe in a day, feeling tired through the week, looking at these patterns, like what's going on in my life at this time. How well am I doing maintaining my health levels? Am I putting myself love first? Do I have strong boundaries? Just doing all the checks across yourself. And these are things that I look at weekly. Often now I weekly look, like I was looking at next week and figuring out how sustainable is it? Are there any adjustments I'd like to make? Always looking out for future John, so that when I get to that present moment, that I'm in my best possible happy place. And I also create like quite big buffers, sometimes hours, maybe even like half a day, to be able to cope with either like catching up and getting rest, or fixing a series of things that are causing me lots of kind of energy drains, or just to rest. I might be napping, I might be doing some hobbies, like to not be doing psychic work. So these are all these are all techniques that I use, and it's quite common for me to have in a week, a working week, to have like a half day off somewhere or a whole day off somewhere. Don't obsess about the money, right? Obsess about yourself, because you're the one that earns the money. And then, are there any others? Yeah, and I think the other, like if I very publicly and openly talk about my journey with lack, watch yourself with your shadows. If you're, the more you can face your shadows, the more you can feel into them, and the more you can really like connect with the, like shining a light on them, being aware of them, talking about them with others. These are really, really powerful. Notice the times that you're not. Notice the times that you're falling more into shame or, holding it within and not really wanting to share or discuss. And these can be really powerful experiences to just see, oh, hang on, is something like trying to, leverage my vulnerabilities? And is this really me? Like, have I already, like, do I feel like I'm taking a step back? Have I already tackled some of this healing? And so, yeah, for all these red flags, I definitely recommend you just feel into, like, is it your own energy or not? When was the last time you did a clearing of yourself? Don't be okay with you telling yourself, I'll be fine, I'll be okay, I can cope with it. Like, just do it anyway. It costs you nothing and so little time and energy to help clear yourself. And I'd say the next thing is, like, making sure you have a regular protection, a regular clearing practice, be unpredictable, and ask for help. Ask others for help. Some of you ask for help. You come along to my live streams with Viviani on a Monday and Thursday. You come along and ask for help, or you share in the chat. My membership group, people often ask for help in, and it's from each other, right? We all help each other. We're all human, and I feel it's really important. Sometimes all you want to be able to do is to say, I think this is something that's happening to me, and not be judged, because some of the things, no matter what our belief systems, are unexplainable, right? And they're often leaning towards the lower vibration emotions of shame, for good reason. So these are intrinsically very hard to do. And I remember some of the first times I started sharing in my membership group when I was going through, when I'm going through attacks or dealing with negative entity removals or demonic possessions, is that it's just incredible to see the support from people. And I remember some people were a bit shocked that I was doing it. They're like, oh, why would John do this? Because I'm showing my transparency and, in many respects, humility, but I feel the strength in it. And, you can tell, like, when you go through that practice yourself, when you share something with someone else, if it feels good afterwards, you're not just dumping on someone, so to speak. You are sharing and it feels more empowering. You're like, actually, I'm glad I did that, because now I feel less vulnerable. And I feel like now that I see the problem more clearly, I can focus on both the tools and techniques that I have already for facing that, but also continue to develop my abilities. There's so many things on this subject I'd like to share with you, but I'd like to bring us to a close shortly. Now, I did create a safe space both for me and for this video just before we started. So I was going to ask one of my spirit guides if they'd like to also offer some guidance as well. So let me just take a drink of water. And I'll just ask one of my guides to step forwards to assist with a message that will help support people in identifying if they're under the influence in any way of a being exhibiting negative behaviors towards them. And this is my guide, Maya, coming forwards. She'd like to speak through me. Yes, please. Please do, Maya. You are a child of Earth. You are here in the third dimension, many of you, some in the fourth and fifth. Remember, regardless of where you are a child of Earth. A regular grounding practice helps you connect with the Earth. That communion, the attunement, allows a beautiful connection between you, your frequency of your heart, and the frequency of Mother Earth. Can you see where I'm going with this? To explain, there is this beautiful process of where your attunement sets a frequency, tone, and range and balance. And when you practice this, it allows you to know yourself, what that feels like. A kind of center point, a calibration of your energy. Then when your energy is shifted off to the side or shifted up or down in vibration, often by the attacks of other beings against you, whether they're human or non-human, energetic or otherwise, this can shift your energy. So look for these changes. Look for the needle of your frequency changing, which is not your doing. This is a way of detecting whether you are under some kind of attack or influence. This is also why John is often surprised that people seem to know when they have some sort of negative attachment or attack. It's because intrinsically, inherently, intuitively, and very naturally within your heart, you're able to feel into this and detect it. Your consciousness is also designed to be able to understand when you're being influenced or attacked by others. This is part of the gift that you hold, each of you, to help you support your own free will in this universe. Because this free will universal law would not be possible if you did not understand what free will feels like. So when your feeling of free will is gradually compromised or being affected, then know that this is an opportunity for you to see this as a time for you to be able to do your own clearing and healing of yourself. And yes, sharing with others is very important. Know that you are a divine sovereign soul and you get to choose what comes into your field, into your space, into your being. And when you're under attack, let others know. They'll often offer you support. We all look out for each other, and that's how we help each other implement and respect each other's free will. I encourage you to observe and to feel John's intention behind today's video and to understand his place of intention, of helping you, to educate you, and also to encourage you to adopt different practices. And if you're really struggling, please do share. Don't be a stranger. Don't suffer alone. You're not the only being in this universe that's been attacked by another being. It is more common than we realize. I send you so much love. Thank you. Thank you, Maya. It's funny when I'm channeling, I sometimes think, oh, I'm like John's still like totally here, and I was like, no, I was totally lost in her beautiful energy. But yeah, what beautiful advice just to be able to feel that kind of offset of our own calibrated energy. I think it's a wonderful way. It feels like, it reminds me of how scientists detect whether a planet's there. There's a wobble in the gravity of the sun, the star, very slightly, and it's a way of detecting planets that orbit it. So yeah, I hope this helps you and doesn't scare you too much. And if you have ideas, suggestions about how you spot those red flags, how you mitigate these risks, like what are your practices, please do put them in the comments. And if there's anything in particular that you'd like me to focus on in my next videos, please do let me know. It's just an honor to be able to help you at this time. And yes, if you're interested, feel free to come along to my live streams, try out my free 14 days spirit guide meditations. They're on johnbinnie.com. You can also join my training courses, and you can also join the membership where we meet a couple of times a month. And I share daily, and we share all about our different magical experiences and help each other. So yeah, I hope this helps you, and take good care of yourself. And remember, you're a sovereign soul, and no one else in this universe gets to decide what you do, see, or feel, or whatever you perceive. It is all up to you. And I encourage you, just like all these things that I've been sharing today, encourage you to feel into your own truth. Which parts of this feel good for you, you're not so sure about, that don't resonate with you. Just say these things out loud, listen to yourself as you're saying your truths, and allow yourself to feel into your version, your unique experience of this universe. So thank you so much. And I'm sending so much love from Scotland. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Love you.